Alright guys, welcome to the live stream. It's about time we get started. So, let's do just that. Let me know if you guys can hear me alright. Looks like my desktop audio is peaking a little bit. I think we're good though. But yeah, let me go ahead and show you what we got going on for today. And make sure I got all this set up real quick. Alright. So I've been working on our little lady here for quite a while now. It's the month of January. I'm going to turn off a few things like her weapon and some other stuff. And we'll turn off this. And you can kind of get an idea of where we're headed next. So I've been in the process of sculpting this cloth around her. A little bit of a shawl kind of hood thing we got going on. So I've been playing with that here recently. Working on that and trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with it. Turn off this hair as it's going through. But yes, I've also been working on the pose, which if you guys were around for our last stream, we're in the early stages of that, breaking things and then fixing them some more. But this is something that I'm beginning just now to blend with some other shapes and just kind of beginning to sculpt some folds and some different forms on here. So having fun with that and playing with that and trying to figure that all out right now. So I'm going to probably start here by working on blending some of these new shapes that I'm trying to do here and figure out exactly how that's going to turn and flow for this stream. But after that, we'll probably continue to work on this cloth. I have a feeling that we'll be working on some cloth for if not all the stream, a large majority of it. So if you guys have any questions regarding that or anything else, just let me know. Shout it out in the chat. And Craig, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you with us. And I think we can go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to turn on my solo mode. I might toggle it on and off. I'll probably end up hiding everything later so that I can do some projection and some other stuff that'll make this a little bit easier for blending. But for the time being, we are just going to kind of work in Dynamesh and try to get up to a nice point. Figure out how I want this surface to turn exactly. So my main kind of concerns right now while I'm working on this is that I don't want to lower the Dynamesh too far to where I lose some of the forms that I've begun creating up top. I want to make sure that I keep a lot of that in there. So it's okay for me to lower the Dynamesh if my resolution is, you know, a little too high, a little too difficult to work with. But for the most part, I just want to be leery of lowering it too much and then losing all those folds up top or destroying that form. That's why I am kind of an activist for splitting things into multiple pieces as it helps alleviate those problems where you're working on one area and then you come back to another and you're like, well crap, I didn't even realize that got screwed up down there. But yes, we will, like I said, probably do some remeshing here soon, just so that we have this in a little bit easier of a place to work with. Just kind of being a little rough right now, trying to figure out exactly how I want this transition to occur. obviously going to need this to flow quite a bit better from both of these. So what I'm probably going to do next is do a pretty low Z remesh, project, and then get something that I can actually smooth and modify very quickly down there, as I've kind of started to get the edge flow to go in a general direction now. So I think that's a good kind of place to go next. Just tweak that a little bit more, flatten that out. All right. Let's do a 2K Z remesh and see how that looks. And then once that's done, we can go ahead and project that from our original mesh there that we just duplicated. And of course close holes and make sure all that's nice and safe before we step on up. So especially, you get a lot of that, a lot of those problem areas around these really thin areas like in here. So just to make sure we're not going too crazy here, we'll just close holes. I like to polygroup everything once, and sometimes I'll run auto groups and make sure that I select my mesh and delete hidden. And it's saying that it's not deleting anything, so that's good, but oftentimes you can get some floaters and some other stuff if you're using Z remesh. So another way to kind of clean that up. Subdivide, project, subdivide, project. I'm also trying to use this cloth to get a little bit of framing for our character, and I think it does a pretty good job of that. I'm just hoping that we can kind of execute on the rest of this pretty well. But I like sculpting cloth. I think it's a little bit relaxing and fun, and I think it offers some unique opportunities for problem solving. This is where I need to kind of figure out how this surface is going to kind of turn and blend in here a little bit. I just used my, if you guys weren't around for the last stream, I just used the curved tube brush to create these kind of long, flat pieces of geometry. It's really easy. You can just control the number of sides that the polygon tube has, and then from there flatten it by adjusting, I think it's your Z intensity, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah. I think I do actually. I have a tutorial specifically on that, if you're interested in that, on my YouTube channel under How to ZBrush Curves, if I'm not mistaken. Just to get some really clean stuff, which is what we've kind of begun leaning towards here. I want to start turning this, start turning the surface a little bit. Kind of turn everything on real quick so we can hide a bunch of stuff. Start toggling on and off all the garbage. Actually, we want that one. Don't want that. And that. Alright. Katie says, hello, how's things? How are the things? There's lots of things going on today. For the most part, though, we're working on cloth. And specifically creating a little bit of a hood slash shawl, I would maybe call it. And then kind of using that to create some kind of frame for our character, and playing around with that that right now, excuse me. That's pretty fun thus far. I like doing this kind of stuff. So things are going well. The construction people are gone. No more construction boys in the house. That's great. We got some time to actually, you know, work and stream here with actual quiet. That's new. That's good. Our pose here is still in the early stages, but before I begin, you know, tweaking more things on the arms or legs, I want to continue to play with this cloth and find out if I really like this. And thus far, you know, I'm kind of enjoying these new forms that are kind of being created here. And I think a lot of what's going on up here now makes a little bit more sense than what was previously there, and I can show you guys some of that. I was tweaking this knee yesterday, I believe, a little bit. I'll probably come back to it, but I'm pretty fine with the way it is now, just with the transitional hard to round points that I have in there now. And this knee I haven't really tweaked too much, just because I haven't really needed to. This was kind of the major offender from our last stream, so I've kind of played with that a little bit more. We got some other stuff in here that I can work on doing some live booleans on later. That's probably going to be one of the last things I do, because it's what's great about live boolean is it gives you that opportunity to, you know, not tweak your surface. If you want to make changes later, you can just adjust your live boolean piece, and then from there make those changes down the road, which is super nice. So we're gonna hold on to those for as long as we can, especially since they're low poly pieces. They're really not bothering me, and they don't really make the file much too larger, so pretty nice there as well. But yes, continuing on our cloth, I started adding. I don't think I even had this on our last stream, if I'm not mistaken. But I've kind of gone through and started adding a bunch of folds in here, starting to figure out the flow of this shape and how I want this to take place. Just now we've kind of, well, earlier I had blended these pieces in to this cloth, and now I'm beginning to kind of think about how I want to carry these forms through here, and that's going to be a little bit of a challenge as we go through, but coming from this area down and up as well, as I need to figure all that out. But it's fun. Like I said, I think sculpting cloth is a good time, and we'll kind of keep playing with it here. But I have an inner material color here that I'm gonna probably try to carry through the entirety of this cloth, and I'll show you guys how I can do that later on. It was a little bit of a struggle the first time I did it on this shape up here, because it's such a unique shape, but we'll kind of continue to play with that, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about a little bit later. Tato says, how's it going? Going good. How are you doing? Katie says, splitting up some hair card materials that you have made so I can set up the textures easier. Sounds like everybody's getting some good work done. Well, at least Katie is. And I hope everybody else is getting deep in the polys or whatever you got going on with your projects. I think a lot of people kind of work on their own stuff and listen to streams in the background, but I think that's kind of cool. It just gives like the opportunity just to work with other artists in a way, or be surrounded by other artists that are working. A little bit of an accountability in a way, but of course, you know, you have to take the first step in deciding to watch a stream or hang out with other artists that are, you know, also trying to get stuff done. For those that are kind of new here, maybe people that are just popping in to say hello or see what's going on, this is for the Art War 2 competition, this character that I'm working on over on ZBrush. And there's a link down in the description for my progress on this character, and you can go there and kind of see how things started from a bunch of garbage until they got to a little bit less garbagey where we are now. And yeah, feel free to, if you guys got feedback or comments or critique or anything, I'm always extremely open to those kind of things, and I greatly appreciate people that do take the time to do something like that. One of the, I believe, moderators on the community took the time to do a paint over on a few versions of this character ago, and you know, that stuff is always very helpful, I think, even if it's coming from, you know, someone that isn't as experienced as somebody else that you would hope that would do that for you. I think anybody can have the ability to give good critique, in my opinion. I think anybody can. I think almost critiquing is a skill in and of itself. But you know, of course, being a great artist is going to help you in your ability to have the language and be able to articulate exactly maybe where some problem areas lie and some of that stuff. But by no means, like I said, I think anybody can have the ability to give you a good critique, and I think being open to that is going to help you in the long run, in my opinion. But yes, I find that stuff always extremely helpful, just to get somebody's outside source kind of in on your work, because what that does is, for you've been kind of stuck in your own work, in your own head for such a long time that, you know, when you get that outside source, it's a breath of fresh air. You get to all of a sudden see those glaring issues, or even those things that are extremely good that maybe you didn't realize that maybe you need to emphasize. But yeah, I think it's really easy to get stuck in your own head with your work and then not exactly know where you should go moving forward. Not that song. We should not go forward with that song. That song was terrible. Tato's got the stream on the second screen, working on their own stuff, it sounds like. And Benko, welcome to the stream as well. Benko says, "Where's the sharp soft edge brush from?" Well, that is a Follygon original. You're gonna have to go on over to Gumroad and go to my brushes. I believe it. Yep, sharp soft edge, right there. It's in my main sculpting brushes on my Gumroad. But yeah, I use it for cloth. I use it for wrinkles and all sorts of stuff. It's one of my main sculpting brushes. I'm a big fan. Is that positive? Okay, no, that's my pinch brush. I was so confused there. But yeah, I think, like I said earlier, I think it's really interesting how streams offer the ability to have a live community of artists kind of working together on their own stuff and holding each other, maybe not accountable isn't the right word, but just I would say slightly accountable, but also giving people the opportunity to kind of work and hang out and talk with each other. I think that's really interesting. And I never really thought of streams as being that kind of that kind of vehicle for that kind of, you know, opportunity in the past, but now I definitely do. Currently trying to pinch up some of these form changes that I have here to get rid of some of these crappy areas in here that maybe you can't see as well as but some of them are really bothering me and I want to clean them up. Honestly, it's more of a, if you guys were around earlier when I was saying that the Dynamesh resolution was kind of screwing some stuff up around some of these areas, that's pretty much what a lot of this is. And that's not, you know, the end of the world. It'll end up being cleaner for it. I think I talk about this in particular a lot, but with the pinch brush, I'm using lazy mouse right now on about 50. I find that that gives a pretty good balance between a clean line and a good curve that you can kind of control smoothly. And what I like to do is use the Alt key and hold Alt while pinching on stuff like these inner edges, and it will pinch in instead of pinching up and out. And I find that to be just a really nice shape that I like to use all the time. I'm a big fan of that pinch-rooney. But yes, let's kind of continue playing with this form. I'm actually struggling with the form up in this area and trying to figure out what I want to do up here, because I think some of it's a little more confusing. Okay, I want to hide that. So kind of trying to figure out what I want to do, carrying the folds up through these different areas. And I'll probably just do some really large soft form similar to that, just so that I can get some form in there without destroying the actual surface to a large degree. Kind of begin blending this into this lower area. Maybe a little bit stronger than that, but I can kind of build that up over multiple strokes here. Katie made 4 hair card texture sets and managed to read 2 chapters of her book while they baked. Well, that sounds like fun. What book were you reading? I'm a big fan myself of fantasy, and I'm kind of a somewhat slight collector of different art books, and I have a bunch on my table back there. You guys can probably see a few of those laying back there. I used to, I mean, I kind of had a huge collection of books, and I ended up giving them all, or not all of them, but a large majority, like I think around, it was definitely over 200 books that I gave to Goodwill when I moved a few years ago, and that was a lot of books. I still have a few, a somewhat large number of books, not nearly as many as I used to have, but I think it was around high school I started just reading just about everything I could that in my library at school, anything that interested me. And we had this program called AR, or Accelerated Reader, in my high school, and essentially, you know, you were required each year or semester to to read a certain number of points worth of being within this accelerated reader program, and if you did go over it, you could, you know, get bonus credit. And because I read so many books and I had so much bonus credit every like I think the last 2 or 3 years of my high school career, I was over 100. I was over like 100% in any of my English related courses, simply because of just reading everything I could. So I kind of somewhat gamed the system. I didn't really care, but it was more of I just wanted to read all this stuff, and you know, the library gave me the opportunity to do that. Get all these free books, right? I guess not technically free since you pay for your school, but all the same, I love to read. I love me some physical books. I think this form is maybe transitioning a little bit too sharply from soft to strong, so I kind of want to try to exaggerate a little bit of this. I'm not sure how much though. Kind of need to play with it. Rereading the Harry Potter series, not much of a reader, so I figured I'd do it while my computer bakes materials. Takes a while with XNormal and your CPU. Yes, it can take quite a while. I think I started reading Harry Potter around the third or fourth, because at that time that's how many movies were out, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna, you know, I already know what happens. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of the final story, I guess, because there's 2 parts to the final book, if I'm remembering correctly. The Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. I thought the Deathly Hallows was definitely the best book in that series, or the best 2 books in that series. But yeah, I was a big fan. The other ones were pretty good, but they weren't like the best thing I'd ever read in my entire life. But I think for people that I think that was kind of like a really good gateway drug in essence to reading for a lot of young people. And I think those kind of books are always good, in my opinion, to kind of get a lot of people into reading. But let's see. Tato says, I'm a junior and making some shoes for a character. What's the better way to add laces? You could add laces with a curved tube brush. You could add laces with, you know, actually polymodeling them. I would probably like use some form of a curved brush. You could even have a curved brush that's made like a tri-parts curved brush that actually creates laces. I might go that route if I could find something like that, but I would probably use some form of a curved brush and then kind of Z model it down and control it a little bit more from there. My favorite book in the series is The Prisoner of Azkaban and Deathly Hallows. Yeah, Deathly Hallows was awesome. It's a good one. And that makes sense. Making sense about the curved tube brush. Yeah, the curved tube snap, whatever you need to use. There's a lot of curved brushes. I would recommend trying out those and see what you can get to. Oops. I haven't really done anything with expression yet in the face, so expression will definitely have to happen here soon. But I think we're gonna. Right now, I'm trying to look at this form here. And possibly play with scooting that over. Just trying to get that to form to the body a little bit better than what it is right now. Just kind of trying to look at some bigger shapes, bigger transitional forms, and figure these out as I play here. And get ready to transition some of these forms down into these shapes. A lot of what I actually like to do when I'm folding cloth is to use masks. And from there, we'll clean that one up. Use that change, that mask, create a little offset. And it would be nice if I could rotate this really cleanly, but just because of the angle of this, it's really not going to work. It's just such a drastic shape change, so I might be able to lower this really low and maybe make some changes here, but for the most part I don't think so. But anyway, a little something like that. Coming up through, softening, and getting a nice clean kind of transition between that shape there as I begin modifying that. And that shape can kind of flow up through the entirety of that. I can soften that as much as I want to, and like I said, this is really good for, you know, getting those big kind of shape changes, those big forms. And, you know, of course I need to step up through my subdivs and kind of clean up that mark that gets strongly placed in the surface there. Well, that's not a big deal though. Let's see. John says box modeling is the best. So when you decide to make a game res, you can make that easily. Yeah, I love the ZModeler brush. I'm a big fan myself. Let's go ahead and try to do something similar here on this piece. It's a little bit more strange though. I'm tempting to bake those wrinkles. I'm not sure what wrinkles. I'm sure you're talking about maybe the forms and folds that I have going on up here. This is awkward here. Let's do this and hide and mask. Okay, mask pen. Oh, come back. Try to carry that up there a little bit. Gamer Lance says ArtStation profile. Yeah, I do. I do have one of those. Let's go ahead and search Follygon on ArtStation, and you shall find. Seek and you shall find. Alright, so let's go ahead and shift that down a little bit. Just a little bit more. Flip our mask. And actually I'm going to keep this pretty strong initially. I'm going to try to get a little bit of a stronger transitional point here if I can. I don't care if it's super messy. I'm actually going to try to do this a few every step or so. And I'm hoping that that's coming through on the other side, which it is. Nice. So again, this is just a really good tactic for getting those really large form changes in cloth and getting those nice folds that can kind of carry your larger shapes up through here. So I'm just going to kind of come through now and play with cleaning up this shape that I've kind of created here, and really start to get that turn in the surface there all the way up through that. And I've added a little bit of some warble, kind of playing with those different step markers that I made there with my move brush. And for the most part, I'll kind of destroy some of those, but I was just trying to pull the shape really strong through some of those areas just so I could get a more clean transition up through there. But yes, we can kind of see that form change taking place there. And if you want to kind of exaggerate that even more, you can use a pinch brush. I like to use even my sharp soft brush here, kind of begin making those kind of forms again, similar way there. I like to use my mask brush initially for this kind of thing, but when I'm working on these kind of forms up through here, you know, that's all just, for the most part, my sharp soft edge brush, and then kind of using my pinch brush on top of that, which is what you guys just saw me doing earlier. We'll try it maybe a little bit here, fix this surface turn. All right. John says, just got Pixeluvo on Steam. I'm not familiar with what that is. Really great software for image FX. Yeah, I'm not, like I said, not familiar with Pixluvo, however you pronounce that. I'll have to check it out. Alright, so we're going to kind of continue to pull these larger forms coming from here as we get a little bit tighter into some looser changes down here. So let's go ahead and attempt to do that. I'll show you especially where this kind of stuff is really good around here. Doing something like this. That might seem like a really strong, abnormal transition, but really what happens is with a little bit of smoothing, it becomes a pretty nice clean shape. As we pull that up through there. I'm going to turn on backface masking on my smooth brush, just so I don't get some unwanted smoothing on the opposite side of my surface through there. It can be a little frustrating. But yes, you can see that we can get some big forms pretty quickly, and pretty good, clean forms from that technique. So that's something that I recommend that you check out if you have never used that before. We're going to try it a little bit more up through here. I would say exaggerating maybe a little too far here is a good thing, just because it's fairly simple to knock back that detail that you've just, that form that you've kind of begun creating there. Also, you kind of have to have a little bit of an understanding of how your cloth needs to turn, and you can't just kind of do this random. Well, you can do it randomly wherever you want. I wouldn't recommend it though. Definitely kind of have a base understanding of how your cloth needs to turn, and how these forms need to flow a little bit better, which is what I'm trying to get this to twist a little bit better through here, and it's maybe a little bit too strong. Like I said, not difficult to take that back after you do make those changes. Let's see here. Rohit, welcome to the stream. A fellow Steam Workshop artist recommended that for me, and it's really great. Yeah, like I said, I'll have to check it out. Krita, Photoshop, Clip Studio Paint. Just finished a Rust game weapon skin. May I post them? Tell me what you think. Yeah, go ahead and post them in the ZBrush Discord, and I'll absolutely check them out. If you're wanting to know my opinion, I can give that really quickly and easily, but if you're wanting a critique, I would say be a little specific in what you ask for with your critique if you are looking for that. Let's see, Asuna from Sword Art Online. Sounds like fun. And Cody Craig. Good old Cody boy. Welcome back to the stream. Glad to have you here. Hope things are going well with you. My music got all quiet. Can't hear it. I still don't know what's going on with my audio. I don't know when it was, but for some reason my audio only picks up from my microphone now. It doesn't pick up my desktop audio anymore. It's really strange. I'm not sure what causes it in OBS, but it's a little bit of a bug where from my understanding, if when you're recording, in your recording settings, you have multiple audio track setups. So let's say you have one for your microphone, one for your desktop audio, and maybe you have a third one for another microphone or something like that. When you stream, it'll only pick up your initial audio track, which happens to be my microphone. So the only way that I can get my music to pick up is if my speakers play it loud enough that my microphone can hear it, which is kind of annoying. But I guess, you know, it works. It works, so I can't complain too much. Alright. Kind of jumping around a little bit here so that I have some time to look at the other parts of this. Go ahead and grab our pinch brush and get in here. Sharpen some of these up. Strengthen some of these. Let's see. Cody, glad you're doing well. Katie says, my Facebook showed me some work I did from the start of last year, and I'll say this, my quality has leapt forward massively in the last year. As it should, I would hope so, but yeah, that tends to happen, especially in those early stages. I don't own Discord. May I post it here? Not sure what you mean by you don't own Discord. Discord is free. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not understanding. You don't need to install it. You can actually use it directly from your browser, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, there's a link in the about page of my YouTube channel. If you go there and click on that, it should take you to the invite, and you should be able to open it directly in your browser, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, if you would like to install the software to use the actual client directly on your desktop, well then by all means do that as well. Some of these forms, I think I've gone too tight with a lot of these. Alright. I think that's getting to a much better place there. Definitely just a little too, or I would say a lot, much too thin and unorganic with our shapes there previously. We're getting to a better place though now. You gotta get messy before you can get clean, and we gotta change this song before it makes me go crazy. Let's see here. Are you talking to Discord? Are you talking on Discord now? If you are... I'm not sure if you're talking about the voice chat. I'm not using the voice chat on Discord currently. No. Gamerland says, nice model. Workflow, just ZBrush. We're doing everything in ZBrush right now. So just the Z. I have a lot of experience working on toys and life-size amusement park figures and life-size museum figures. That's kind of where my background comes from. So I've been using ZBrush for that kind of work for a while now, and that's kind of where my home is, I would say. And that's kind of what I lean into more. So this is, if you weren't around or if anybody here new popping in and seeing this character for the first time, this is a character that I'm working on for the Art War 2 competition over on ZBrush. There's a link down in the description, like I mentioned earlier, to my works in progress. Kind of shows the timeline of this character and where we are now. And definitely check that out if that's something that interests you, and you can kind of see what's going on. There's still time, there's still time to sign up for the Art War 2 competition if that's something that you're interested in participating. But yeah, definitely check it out. Link, it's the first link down in the description if I'm not mistaken. Sure how I want to do this exactly. Trying to get a little bit of a fold here. And if your light's in the way, you can always shift that if it helps illuminate it better. Try to asim this up a little bit better than I have currently and add a little bit more form on this side. Really liking this transition. Excuse me, this transition that we have going on here now. Definitely liking that a lot more. If I can, possibly make that a little bit more exaggerated. Hold down. Make sure none of the rest of this gets screwed up while we're working here. I find that while I'm working with masks with certain parts of a mesh hidden, and I'll jump back, typically I'll have, not typically, but a lot of the time I will have some really strange errors occur, especially right around the area where something was hidden. It can cause a lot of problems, and I'm not a fan. I haven't really experienced that too much since 4R8P2, but in the past it was definitely a big issue. But like I said, not as often as it used to happen, but it does still happen. Now, I've intentionally created these surface forms here to be fairly sharp in their highest and lowest, their transitional states. So where the concave and convex surfaces kind of turn. And I've intentionally kind of done that here so that I can have the highest point of exaggeration for that form of being extremely sharp, and then kind of knock it down from there, depending on where exactly I want it. I really like the stuff that's kind of happening up here. It looks really natural, so if I can, I would like to bring that a little bit more into the rest of what we're working with here. So let's try to get a little bit closer to that appeal. Kind of sticking in my highest subdiv here, just because I don't want to destroy our form completely, so just trying to be careful here. Start to smooth, but not be too destructive. This shoulder is the one that's actually the greatest offender, in my opinion, because these forms are just exaggerated a little too much. Excuse me. I could feel that coming. I wasn't sure if it was going to happen though. So get in there. And I can almost guarantee that I will Dynamesh this again before it's all said and done. So, not a big deal. I want to look at bigger shapes a little bit more, transitioning back, down, and into these curves. And how I'm going to make sense of this. If I can, I'd like to kind of rotate this surface here. We'll see, I'll probably just move it manually, try to get some form change there. I'm gonna make that a little bit flatter from that view. Whoops. Actually, we're good. Thought I cleared my mask. Cody says, bless you, long leg. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's even combined right now. So this is a combined mesh. I've destroyed this form and undestroyed it, brought it back together so many times from messing with the pose. So, oh, we actually crashed, hiding some stuff. Thank you, God, for doing a quick save there. Please save that for me. It looks like it did, but I guess we'll find out. But yeah, there's actually, you know, there's no torso per se, as it's separated up to a certain point, because there's cloth over that, and really that's all that's seen, and things that aren't, I believe this is it. I believe this is the one we want. Things that aren't seen, things that aren't necessary, well, they aren't necessary, and I don't need them, so I'm not going to leave them in. Yes, we did get a quick save off, so awesome. But I'll try to show you what I was going to show you there. That is, you know, completely empty through there, like I said, and hiding the surface underneath, and that's fine. You know, a lot of this isn't seen to some extent. I need it to look somewhat decent for what's visible, and what isn't visible, like I said, doesn't matter, so I'm not going to worry about it. So for example, anything past this point here, whoops, anything past that line isn't seen, so, you know, it doesn't really matter. And anything touching the cloth doesn't matter as well. You can see though that that's kind of bleeding through there. We'll have to tweak that and make sure that that's not happening to that extent, and that, you know, doesn't require much of a change. But the process that I've done here also does help a lot with posing, because when you're posing a mesh and you're posing layers of different meshes, it causes a lot of issues in the areas where there's that multiple layer of stuff going on, because the polygons won't necessarily match up. If you look here in the leg, this here, you know, I don't have the polypane and color applied to it. I can do that really quick. MRGB, just so we can kind of know what's going on here. So fill that in, and we'll switch back. So these legs, right, they're stockings, cloth, there's some kind of fabric here, and if I hide it, well, the leg just kind of terminates there. That's the end of the leg, because there's no reason for me to continue the leg into this shape. There's no reason for me to have a foot inside of, you know, the sock or the shoe or the pant leg or any of that. it's absolutely useless unless I plan on changing the clothing at some point down the road, but that's not my intent. This is a figure for 3D print or collectible, or a finished model for the extent of the Art War 2 competition, so it doesn't require that. And understanding that and knowing what you need your character for is going to help you, make those decisions as you come to them, and it'll allow you to make those decisions much quicker than, maybe being a little bit more hesitant and trying to hold on to everything when you don't really need it so much. Can you cut the polypaint model without losing it? It depends on what you mean by cut. If I have one model painted, but I have to cut it, and I doubt that I could achieve a similar effect. I tried this in 4R6 and there was a problem, but maybe there is a way. Well, first of all, I would suggest that you upgrade to 4R8P2, but second of all, you can just cut using any of your slice brushes, any of your clip brushes, and you shouldn't have, slice, clip, or trim. It really doesn't matter, and it should be able to retain its poly paint with any of those, even in 4R6. It depends what you mean by cut, though. I'm not entirely certain what you mean by that. So looking at this form here, I intentionally blended it this direction, and I'm thinking that I kind of actually don't like how it's looking right through here. It's kind of what I'm feeling right now. So I'm wondering if I can kind of adjust this surface a little bit. I'm going to try to get the surface form to change, which won't be easy. Gotta break stuff to fix it. And that's exactly what we're gonna do here. Not that that's a bad thing, because honestly the twist that we're gonna get from this, I think, is gonna be a little bit more interesting and unique altogether. If I can carry this curve up through here, I think we'll be good. Right now it looks a little thin from that side view, and I think adjusting this will somewhat fix that. So if we can, let's try to do that. Just looks a little awkward right now. Just like you did with your leg and sock. Leg and sock. Are you talking about that? or I mean, it's just the slice brushes that I showed you, slice clip, any of those. After graduation, I had to give away everything that was from the university. You have trial 4R7. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if you can get a trial of the newest version. I believe there is a trial. Not positive. Thought there was. But either way, yeah, just any of those brushes that I showed you. Slice, clip, what's the other? Trim. Any of those should work fine. I'm really just trying to get this to turn a little bit better right now, as it's not looking amazing. If I can achieve this, I think we'll be in a good place. A lot better place for sure. I really like the way that this frames the character. I'm just trying to add a little bit of twist here now that we've kind of turned it the other way, and it's kind of going a little counter to what it initially starts to do, and I don't know. Might have to come back to it and play with it a little bit more at a later time, just because I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with this quite yet. I want to make sure that it's kind of touching some of the cloth down here to a good extent, just so for issues with 3D printing and some of that stuff, you can make sure that a lot of that can be touching and create a little bit more thickness. A little bit more thickness there to help out with printing. Absolutely. So let's step on up to our highest subdiv and look back at adding some more forms up through some of these areas. You've always done UV, and maybe that's why. Yeah, I'm not, in all honesty, Cody, I'm not entirely sure what you're attempting to accomplish, so if you maybe have some screenshots that you want to post in the ZBrush Discord and ask some questions over there, I think that'll kind of help clear it up a little bit more, as I'm not entirely sure what you're trying to achieve, and maybe that can kind of clear it up. But yeah, do that unless you have the answer already. All right. I want to be careful with adding folds up through the top of this, as it starts to, you know, this is a tighter area for the hood around the head, so it should be quite a bit tighter for that form, but that doesn't mean that I can't add a little bit of folding going on through here. By all means, I absolutely can, and probably will, a little bit at least. This stuff keeps getting in the way. Like I said, I really enjoy using the mask tool for creating these bigger shaped forms, these larger folds, which is a lot of how we got, you know, we started off using my sharp soft edge for a lot of these, and then kind of pulling it around with our mask. It's very helpful. You get some really cool shapes. I'm going to try to make this a little bit more asymmetrical. Try not to affect the pool around there too much. Although I am using a pretty large move brush, so maybe not the best strategy in the world. There we go. Really trying to kind of soften this out right now, as I want it to be a soft transition. Kind of going from top to bottom in strength of the fold, stuff around the neck, I want it to be the strongest, tightest type of folds as that's pulled around there. And around the top of the head, you know, it's taut on the head, it's laying up against it, so it's going to be tighter and the folds won't be nearly as strong. And then maybe in the back here, they're a little bit loose, more loose, a little bit in between those two extremes on those, both kind of falling between the middle of the fence there. So just kind of experimenting and see where we can exactly fall here, while still trying to maintain some of these major forms that I've already created. That inner piece that I have here, there's a little bit of a texture separation and I might end up redoing that for this, just so that I can kind of not worry about the form so much now. And I'm not sure if I like these shapes that I've kind of created now with these points. I was kind of trying to emulate the hair a little bit, play around with it kind of copying that widow peak shape that we have here, you can see. And then also kind of forming around our mechanical ears that we have on top of the head. So trying to kind of comply with all this, and I don't know if I maybe pushed it a little too far or not. I'm kind of just trying to, like I said, experiment and see where those issues might lie. I think I do like this shape. It's just a matter of making sure that I don't make it look too symmetrical even now. Even though we're playing with the folds here, the larger forms I think need to be tweaked a little bit more. And I think that's maybe what's kind of throwing me for a loop right now. The habit of doing UVs. The usual habit of doing UVs. You checked in, it's okay. Well, it sounds like you figured it out, so hopefully so. But looking here, I'm trying to kind of match a little bit more of the weight, a little bit more of the head tilt. So a little bit of tweaking to our shape here. Just trying to find a good kind of flow here that doesn't break symmetry too much, because, you know, the clothing typically is symmetrical, right? For the most part. Major forms are symmetrical for the most part. There's a lot of clothing that isn't, but for something like this hood, you know, of course it's going to be symmetrical in its overall form and design, but then within that it needs to have asymmetry in its major forms, and whoop, thought we were crashing, we're good. It needs to have symmetry in its major forms and asymmetry, just enough to kind of make it look like, you know, this hood is reacting to the pose, to the gravity of what's going on, which is why, you know, I have these folds going the way that they do on one shoulder and a different way on the other. It's because I'm trying to get it to interact with the actual form of the body. Even though that this is a symmetrical piece of a symmetrical garment, I still need those major things to happen. I also want to create some pins around this area, around right in here, so that I can kind of pin that on around that area, so it makes a little bit more sense for how that's staying on there. And I'll play with that a little bit later too, but we're going to continue playing with our cloth here, as this cloth is, you know, pretty new to our character. If you guys are kind of new here and haven't seen what was going on previously, I was playing around with this idea of having the cloth be a part of her dress and maybe connected to it somehow, but I just couldn't get it to make sense in my head for why this would be working this way. But this is the basic color scheme that we're going to go with after we get our shawl to a better place. So I'm definitely liking this direction a lot more. And it might cover up, you know, her shoulders and her tattoos there. I think there's some really cool design stuff going on here, but I don't think it's worth the entirety of the character, the character's clothing not making sense. I don't think it's a good trade-off to have there. So I want, you know, those primary ideas, I guess in this case, to make more sense and be a little bit more appealing. And I don't want there to immediately be like a question in your head of what is going on with this hood, like how does this even, I don't know, I just don't really even like the major forms that this creates, whereas I think this is a little bit more, you know, overall I think it creates a really nice aesthetic. and I'm a fan of it. So that's what really matters, right? So the major forms here, after we've kind of tweaked this back one, this back left piece, or her right, whatever you want to say, it looks, we can kind of undo all the way back here so we can see some of our changes. I should be able to pin that. Okay, drop that to my canvas. So it's pretty similar, but I've been begun kind of turning that form back through to that connection point, which has been very helpful. I've begun kind of just tweaking the symmetry on those shapes up top as well, playing with that. And I think just cleaning this up overall, we can kind of see all that taking place. Let's clear that off. Look back here. And just kind of beginning to get those forms up through the head, up through those. Let's make sure we're on the highest one there. Yes, we are. Okay. And just kind of being able to soften some of these forms and begin to pull up these forms through here. I'm really happy with the shapes that we're beginning to get up in this area. And I want to kind of continue those maybe a little bit more up through the top. And we've started to do that. I think these are a little bit dirty though, and they could absolutely stand to be cleaned up. And I think we'll probably do that in our next stream. And I'll stay here for a few more minutes and play with this cloth just a little bit longer, but I gotta head out here. It's Friday. It's Friday, guys, so that's a good thing. It's always good when it's Friday. And it's always good when the construction workers are finally gone. That's great. For the past month now, they've been doing stuff on my house, and it's been very noisy around here. So I'm definitely very grateful to have that complete. And also, I'm able to stream again. If you guys remember some of the streams we had when they were working up on the roof, that was some good times. That's some real fun. Just every once in a while, you'd hear a really loud bang, and it would sound like something would break, and not the best kind of audio quality for streaming, if you ask me. But yeah, now we're all good on that. So for sure next week we're going to be streaming as much as we can, trying to get to a point where we can finish our Art War 2 character and get on to the next thing. I think I've told you a little bit about what that's going to look like, but I'll have some more information on that later. For those that are, listening to Art Anonymous, we didn't have a new episode this week, this Thursday, yesterday. Normally, new episodes go up on Thursday for Art Anonymous, the podcast that Daryl and I do on this channel. He's a traditional sculptor. But yeah, we'll definitely have one here soon. We've just had some trouble being able to sync up him. He's gotten a new job here recently, and his schedule is a little hectic, and me with all the other construction stuff going on, I had to be here a lot. We didn't really have the like I said, the audio capabilities at that time to record anything. So hopefully here soon we'll have a new episode up. I hope you guys enjoyed the little critiques, I guess you could call them, that we did. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go check out the Art Anonymous show on my YouTube channel. Check out our newest episode. I believe it was episode 5 or 6. It's a good one, and we have a lot of fun recording that, and I hope you guys have fun listening to that when you can. Absolutely. We got a lot of we try to keep it light and loose, but we get into some serious topics as well, because I think people are somewhat interested in, I guess maybe kind of dropping the bullshit and having someone talk to you straight about how hard it is to create a career out of art. And it absolutely is, right? So I think it's good to have that kind of candid candid conversation, which Daryl and I absolutely do. Daryl's a great guy, and I love talking to him about that kind of stuff. We have a lot of fun. But yes, the forms of our hood, we are getting there, and we will get there more in the next stream. Gamer Lancer says, please stream the final process. It depends kind of what you mean by process, but I'm going to be streaming as much as I can on this character. I stream, you know, pretty much every day. Absolutely. Materials, lights, and render. Ah, I see. So going more into that. Well, I've done some stuff with rendering and lighting in the past, so there's some more stuff like that on my YouTube channel if you're interested in that now. But absolutely check that out, and we'll get to all that stuff more in the future with this character here as well. But we got a long route to go before we can even get there. A lot of stuff we want to continue to do with posing here and making sure that our character is the best that it can be. Let me save this out real quick. And there we go. I think that's all, guys. The only other thing that I would mention is that if you're maybe new here, new to ZBrush, and you're interested in it, check out my Gumroad. Check out my How to ZBrush Supercut series. It's a little bit of a new thing. It's my absolute beginner's guide to ZBrush. It's the way that you can get up and running in ZBrush as quick as possible from someone that, you know, was at that point previously of not knowing what the hell they needed to know in ZBrush and digital sculpting and all that. So definitely check out that, or if you're interested in my materials or brushes or anything else, please check that out as well. There's links down in the description to all that jazz, and if that interests you, please do. Please do. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping in. Hope you guys have a great Friday. No matter what time you got going on, have a great rest of your day. And I will hopefully see you all in the next stream. So you guys have a great day, and see you next time. See you next time, Cody. See you, Gamer Lancer. See you, Cody. I already said Cody. Katie, I guess, if you're still around. Let's see, who else? We got John, Tato, everybody else that stopped in. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you coming and giving me somebody to talk to, so I'm not talking to myself like I normally do, like a crazy person. So I'll see you guys, and again, you guys have a great day. All right.